Erica steps out of Whittier Public School for lunch. She's a teacher there. She and her students walk into the underground tunnel connected to the school to make their way home. On the other side of the tunnel, they step out into the basement of the building where they all live, opening up one of the mini freezers that stores meat, frozen meals, and other foods. Some children may take the basement elevator to their home for lunch. Others may go to hang out in the building's lobby. But this isn't a hotel. This is Begich Towers, where the town of Whittier, Alaska lives. I'm really not exaggerating when I say the city lives here. 272 residents make up the town, and all but a few families live in the 14-story Begich Towers, which contains 150 or so 2 or 3 bedroom apartments. That may not sound all that crazy at first, since it really just looks like someone took a New York apartment building and plopped it in Alaska. But if you begin to think about what a town needs to survive, a mayor's office, a convenience store, a police station, a fire station, clinic, all of that is located here, each with their own rooms in this condominium. Things like this don't just happen, so how did it happen? Well, the year is 1953, and Simon Buckner, commander of the U.S. defenses in Alaska, is worried. World War II has recently ended, and the Cold War has only recently begun. Buckner believes that Alaska is in danger of bombings from the Soviet Union, with recent events of Pearl Harbor and the fact that Alaska defenses in Anchorage are supplied mainly through an unprotected railroad system. Buckner knows he has to act. He decides to build a military base near a railroad as well as a bay near Anchorage. He takes his defense so seriously that he builds 2 buildings, the Buckner and the Hodge buildings. They're the largest structures in Alaska at the time, and he builds these buildings to be self-sustaining, so they're able to power themselves, able to store food to survive long winters, and built using reinforced concrete on bedrock so they can survive direct bombings. 1,000 soldiers move to Whittier, and the construction seems to be a success. And it is, until disaster strikes. The Great Alaskan Earthquake arrives on March 27th of 1964, and its effect on not just Alaska, but the world is dramatic. A Category 9.2 is the second highest category earthquake ever recorded. Fissures on the earth open up, landslides are created, $116 million in damages occur, and aftershocks are felt for over a year later. But the actual earthquake wasn't the deadliest part. The result of the earthquake creates tsunamis that strike across the globe. It's believed that 131 people die as a result of the quake, and Whittier, Alaska is no exception. A 43-foot tall tsunami struck Whittier, killing 13 people. The town took some serious damage, roughly $10 million worth, and many of the structures were destroyed. However, this is exactly what Hodge and Buckner buildings were built to withstand, and they remained even while the surrounding areas were devastated. However, Whittier Military Base was never able to really come back from the damages, and the US military took the opportunity to leave the area just a few years later. So years go by, and the Buckner building went through a series of owners that never really took care of it, making the building eventually uninhabitable. Yet the Hodges building remains in great condition. Renamed the Begich Towers Condominium, the structure now hosts the entire town of Whittier as one of the last few buildings that were remaining from years prior and the most secure structure to withstand Alaskan climates. The building has things like underground tunnels leading to the school for kids to go to even when there's snowstorms. The basement stores food throughout the winter. There's a Baptist church in the basement. So while there are a few other buildings in the area, there isn't much reason for residents to leave the building very often, let alone the town. You can actually visit the town itself, though it is still fairly secluded with a one-way tunnel that switches traffic directions once an hour to allow people to enter and leave the city. One can visit via railroad or take one of the several cruises that makes a stop at Whittier. Interested in staying here? The top 2 floors are a bed and breakfast. After all, who wouldn't want to be able to run all of your errands under one roof?